presentable, like how they were looking in their prime. If it feels me.
The
Yeah,
prime.
yeah.
Yeah,
You had
yeah,
braids
it
before?
feels me. What?
You had braids before?
Yeah, yeah, the previous life.
No. You say well, how
Oh,
they
oh,
had
you
look in
meant
the
like,
prime.
oh,
So I was thinking that you talking about you had braids like
Man, no, listen, man.
oh, well, yes, I have had braids before in high school, but in this case, I was talking about relative to when she first did it last week.
oh no,
Yeah,
it still look clean though. Like she just did
Yeah,
it.
you look
give
stuck.
thanks.
No problem.
Give thanks to you as well.
Yeah, man, you done
All
know.
right,
That's why I here for.
because that mean they look great.
What?
I said that mean they look great.
Yeah,
That's
man.
not true. That's not what I said.
Slick
Hey,
down.
it don't really matter what you say at this point, dog. Give thanks.
This is
You check.
crazy.
Yeah,
Diabolical.
catastrophic.
This your boy Slapchop, and we here to knock back.
Hey, that had me and Nico, my son.
Yeah,
Hey, them guys were different.
is run it.
Wait. Whoa. Take it easy there.
I was just doing a little run, a little runny run.
Go on, it. I'm a stalk, guys.
Hey, that's
Easy
not
now.
a big tune, you know. Big dance too. And
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know the lyrics for that neither,
Yeah.
but yeah,
All in it, but
it go crazy.
You
It
ever watch
goes
somebody?
insane.
You ever watch somebody choke and smile at the same time?
you said
I
choke
did that
and
today even.
smile at the same time.
Yes, I watched myself today even.
Uh, that's good to know.
Heard a joke during the training program, and I was sucking on a mint, and the water went down the wrong pipe.
Hey, yo, pause.
All right, let me go. And
Resume. Oh
Bad.
yeah, that was
That
you were talking
yo,
about,
yeah, bro. But don't ever do that again,
man.
dog. Don't do that again. Don't ever do that again. Not serious. Don't do that again. But yeah, this man is an evil villain. We
My
live and
guy.
direct.
Yes, sir. All right. Pleasant, good after evening, night.
yeah. Yeah. That's the key word to
Hey,
type for
hey, what I say,
Whoa.
dog? Hey, hey, welcome back to the penultimate, aka second to last episode of Mind Hack Moments, season one. All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yo.
Mm. It's your boy,
What?
Mind Hack Sack, braided edition,
Mm.
part two. All right. Braid's done by my wife, my genteel James Sack in the
Mm-hmm.
building.
Because she
Mm-hmm.
done
Mm-hmm.
start off in the chat hot boy. Well,
Yeah, my
Oh,
son. Yeah,
oh,
my son.
I just said
accompanied by me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Hey, accompanied with me tonight, this evening, this afternoon, is my road dog them, my podcast dog them, Twex.
Hey, yo, you tripping today, dog? Them braids get you tripping, bro. Like you wildin'.
So that ain't my nickname.
Hey, yo, go on to the next guy, bro. You
All
tripping,
right, all
bro.
right, all right, all right.
Tripping.
And then we got KJ.
Yo.
Aha, Kylan is
Hey,
place to be. Kylan, the Sean.
yeah,
I loving it.
yes, sir.
Nigeria, I was making fuck. It been like 3 sessions now, and she just in the place causing havoc, dog. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Well, I expect that she's gonna cause even more havoc tonight, given
More
the topic. All right.
more likely,
So
yeah. She had for the yeah.
she
She
here
had
for the chaos, the
for the
anti vibes.
yup. Straight
Yeah.
destruction.
Yep. So y'all already know at MindHack Moments, we strive to empower you with the tools to nurture your inner well-being,
Mm-hmm.
forge self-mastery, and
Masturbation.
build robust connections with others with a dash of fuckery on the side.
Yes, I like that. Oh yeah. Let's
Right.
go. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah, just a
And
little point.
so
Just a little point.
and so that's why tonight will be no different, with the
Mm-hmm.
exception of focusing exclusively on the man them. All right? Not the man them here. Well, yes,
Yeah.
the man them here, but the man them
Mm,
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All
gotcha.
right? We're gonna be talking about masculinity. All right?
Mm,
Particularly some masculine, male, manly expressions or ideologies that
mm,
all guys, not all of them, but a
mm-hmm,
whole lot think is cool, acceptable, or don't
mm.
mind, but it'll really cause harm.
Like what?
All right, we can go straight into the very first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that first thing is emotional suppression.
Okay.
Okay, that's probably the that's probably the worst one. What do you mean? Okay, this is exactly what we're talking about. All right.
I
That boy said, okay,
okay.
so Kaja, are you okay?
Yeah, my boy, like man's out here, got suppress every day, dog. Every day of your life, like, every day of my life at least. I don't know about your eye, like, but every day of my life is just constant suppression, my boy. Because man
Hmm.
stays under pressure. You check.
What am I suppressing all now? Eh?
Hmm?
Eh?
Why suppressing right now?
They say why the man ain't suppressing. I don't know.
I had cooling with a man. Them. I talking with my partner. Them. This is safe space.
Oh, I see.
Wow,
It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. It ain't safe. No man.
dude. What?
So hey, so from since the beginning of time,
Uh-huh.
for as long as humanity has existed, probably
Okay.
guys have been raised quite differently in the fact that emotions ain't really like a acceptable thing to just flaunt around. Almost quite the opposite from our feminine counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so, personally, if you ask me, didn't, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think that a lot of that stuff, or a lot of these traits in general, came from all the way from like hunter gatherer caveman days, where like we we began noticing like some physical differences between us, like men and women, and it's like, oh yeah, we physically stronger, so we can probably do some of the hunting and all of that stuff. And the women, that's where the baby then come out of. So I'm gonna focus on like the child rearing while we go out and do X, Y, and Z. And as humans became a lot more sophisticated and advanced in their thought processes, I really think that some ideologies behind these common observances, if that's a word, developed into more like complex things where like, hey, men should do this because we naturally able to do whatever, and therefore we should also not do this. And I think somewhere along that line, emotions were just like caught up in the midst of it. We're like, yeah, we too strong to be X, Y, and Z. We too strong to cry. We too strong to complain. We too strong to bitch about X, Y, and Z. And it has developed into this place where we feel like we can just talk about just anything. And this is harmful. This is exceptionally harmful to everybody involved. All right.
Well, you could talk about wherever you want. Just the difference is a woman have more places to express themselves than a man do. Like I could say whatever I want wrong are you. It's not going like there's no harm, there's no foul play. If somebody feelings get hurt, I think we all know ain't nobody give a fuck about your feelings. You know what I'm saying? I think we all can agree on that. Ah, he don't want to agree now. But okay. But let's say 2 to 1, majority rule. We all can agree on that. That if like your feelings get hurt, your feelings get hurt, bro. Like ain't much nobody could do for you. But I think it's just men have less or more limited areas where they can express themselves and still maintain the same reputation. Because as much as it might seem like, oh well, you choosing to do that, you can't necessarily express your emotions like constantly around women. Then they tend to see you like a woman. They tend to start to label you in different ways. Well, some women do. I don't want to say all women. Some women understand emotional intelligence and they welcome it, but majority of the women in the world, they cannot understand emotional intelligence from a man. They look at it as bitching, nagging, he on his period, he always have some problem, he complaining. That's how they look at it.
Mm, I don't know about all of that, bro. It's definitely true that you have some women or a large population of women that do not enable a safe space for guys, dog.
Hmm.
But one, there are a very large number of women, a respectable amount of women that is more than what you might think that desires creating that space. And two, the prevailing threat for men like not expressing their emotions, my boy, is other men, dog. All right. It is absolutely other men. What was the first thing you said when you come on to this? Yeah, dog. Yeah, when we hear chopping it up and all this stuff, if somebody feelings get hurt, we don't give a fuck. I'm not a woman. You're not a woman. KJ is not a woman. So
But that does not limit you to not express them. Like you can express them.
you can
But
express that to women too.
nah, dog, if you hurt a woman feelings, you have to handle that as a man. You gotta take care of that.
I talking about expressing like your feelings and like that they having that ability to express it.
Yeah, you could express them without a consequence, is what I'm trying to say. There's no consequence behind expressing your feelings around your partner. Them. The most that could happen is your partner gonna just get mad. You express yourself around females, you could be labeled misogynistic, you could be labeled prejudiced, you could be labeled a womanist, you could be labeled all kind of asshole, you could be like you can be labeled. You express yourself around women, you put yourself in a liability to be like anything, my boy. And then you express yourself around your woman, you ain't getting no wife. You gonna hurt her feelings and she ain't gonna want to be around you. And you can't blame her if you hurt her feelings and she don't want to be
I gotta
around you
say
and
is
she don't want to
wow
deal with you and she don't want to
with a
fuck with
lot
you
of
because sometimes
W's.
the things you to be thinking in
Wow.
your head, you ain't supposed to say out your mouth. But around your partner them. So the difference is, so you might have a point, wiring it around. And the difference is you're limited in expressions around the female counterparts. However, you're unlimited around the expressions around your partner them, but your feelings are taken to less consideration, whereas your feelings taken to more consideration around your female counterparts. So you have less room to express, but more room to possibly be understood. So it's a very tricky thing. You can't really talk about how you're really feeling, but you can only hope that they understand where you are. Like if you're upset, common, very common emotions: upset, happy, excited, bored, tired, those type of things. You know what I'm saying? But on your partner, you can express yourself deeply, true thought. You could tell your partner how much of an asshole he is, and how stupid he look, and how stupid he sound, without worrying a blink about how he feel at the end of the day. And then if you feel away at the end of the day, you could still consider if you should even consider this man feelings or not. You could just move on with life and just be like, dude, you being a bitch. I just go on with life. And we have to go on with life.
Do you
because
realize this feeds directly into what I have been saying, Doc?
I don't agree. I don't agree. Chat. Help me out. Help me out. You get some guys in chat.
The
I
chat
see my
ain't
boy
good,
Patno
bro.
Rick.
What?
Listen. I see my boy Patno Rick. I see my boy Kyle. Kyle, but that's a married answer. And I know married answer, my boy. Go, I bet you won't go and tell your girl some dumb fuck right now. Go tell her some dumb fuck and think everything was like. Tell her some real dumb fuck. Me talking about like no laughing. Nah, tell her some real fuck. Like, yeah, I'm saying. I bet you're more squaring up in the dark house. You can't hurt
Dude.
people's feelings, that you don't walk that way, that you don't walk
So
that way.
so this is the first part I want to address, right? So it
Uh-huh.
sounds like a lot of what you were talking about is focused almost exclusively on when conflict is abound, right?
Okay.
While I'm talking about like the range, the overall range of expression, right? What you're
Mm-hmm.
saying is definitely still important because that's where a lot of like that conversation takes place.
Mm-hmm.
But the next thing is like the stuff you were saying about expressing it to like guys or whatever, like sure, I guess you can express it, but the way that it might be received is still like another part of the equation that is a part of how well you would want to express that in the future, that because you saying like yeah you could tell your partner whatever, which still goes into like the conflict thing. But like if their response and the very prevailing response again is like, man, what you bitching for? Man, you a man, something to that sort. That literally plays into the emotional suppression um thing that we talking about and why that there is a problem, that there is not a safe space. That's not a place to be facilitated into discussing wherever it is that you could discuss properly.
Hey, listen here, right? I ain't never seen nobody who wasn't suppressing. I tell you, man's under pressure every day. Man, suppressing every day. You know? I ain't never. Don't you gonna make me look like a hypocrite? I know why he's saying. You know? I know some of the
No.
things I'll be saying don't necessarily to be like. You know what I'm saying? It's not. You know, normalized. So I already accept that. But I telling you, man's will be on the same track. Might be a track leading to a cliff, and
Crackhead
you know,
mentality, yeah. That's sweet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, no, not full crackhead, junior crackhead mentality. My boy. Yeah, we still developing the crackhead skills and abilities. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. But to be all fair, I understand where part you coming from. It's still the same, but that's why when you said what you said in the beginning, I was like, yeah, like man suppressing every day, like it don't, and that's a common thing. I think you know that you see that amongst most of your male counterparts. You understand it to be something that men face with daily, but you know for a fact yourself, like there's no one way or perfect method to beat this. I guess you could call it epidemic amongst men. Oh gosh, this motherfucker think he
Mm-hmm.
gonna solve those.
And
Yeah,
then my boy, like you, like as long as I exist,
I like
there
that.
is hope for us all, dog.
Wait.
All
Say that
right,
one more time. Say that one more
as
time.
long as I exist, there is hope for us all. All right, I
Fact,
ain't
fact.
even dying that fuck with you, my lad.
I like
Okay,
that.
Mm.
I
literally
like
for as
that.
long as I draw breath, this is not going to be the end, dog. All right, so for the guys, then, right, and like it's very interesting that like you would say that because like I have compassion and empathy for that because there are definitely like very niche pockets where fellas able to just express wherever, right? I have been, like you said, I've been in situations from before MindHack came about, all in college and stuff, where like some of the hardest dudes who will never tell you a thing, right?
Mhm.
You get them in the right conditions, then man will start talking all kind of different things that like bothering them and stuff. All they needed is that space to like chop it up,
Yeah.
right? But it all feeds back into like the whole just natural nature of emotional suppression just from the time we just brought up, my boy. Right? You playing like when you look at like boys playing versus girls playing, they playing like a sport or something.
Mm.
From long we socialize, right? If we play in a sport and like a boy get hot, a little boy get hot, the game can continue that. The
Hell yeah.
game must continue. That little
Mhm.
man is expected to get the fuck up
Yeah.
or get the fuck out. But
Scoop
if
that body on the
girls,
side.
yeah, if girls playing and
Mhm.
somebody get hurt, the game stops, my boy. The game
Yes.
stops to attend to that person to like be attended to until everything blessed. And
Yeah.
like from there, from these little, like I talk in like preschool, this is where the little stuff like emotional suppression and all of that stuff is introduced in ways that we don't even notice.
But dude, how how
What's the
man,
problem?
this is a really good topic because how how are we supposed to teach our young men to be strong, um, fierce, brave, ever moving men if we teach them that every time something bad happens, we have to, and this is just me, I know it might seem technical, it was a technical way of you making analogy of it, but if every time they get hot the game's supposed to stop and wait for them, because we know that when you get hot in life, life don't stop and wait for you. So why would we teach our young men that this is how life is when we know this is not how life is? Life is exactly the way how it is as you explain, and it's ever changing because nowadays the games ain't stopping for women, so it's really starting to become very equal, that the game is no longer stopping for women getting hot, and it's like, little girls out there playing and one fall down crying and you see the rest of them, they're just still playing. You can't keep up with the pack. You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to see that more and more. I have kids, trust me, I had to see that. So I know it's starting to even out even more. So why would we teach our kids something like that, knowing that that's not the way? And you know what I'm saying? And then it even divulges into a bigger question. You know what I'm saying? How do we blend the two? You know what I'm saying? How do we blend the spaces to say, these is the right times and right moments, you know what I mean, to express yourself or to be in that vulnerability, to be in those emotions. And then these are not the times, because this is actually perfect. I had a perfect moment with my daughter last night, and I had to sit with my wife and talk to her quickly about it. And she told me I did a good job. So I was pretty okay about that. But I was outside and we were training for baseball, and I told her, when I training with you, you don't it's no longer yes daddy, you say yes sir. And she just break down crying. Like, because I tell her you have to say yes sir, she start breaking down crying, and I like, yo, like, what wrong, like, why you crying? And she was like, because you're my dad. So that was a very tough moment for her, but I have to teach her those moments. I have to teach her time and place. When it's time to work, it's time to work. And when it's time to play and it's time for me to, take care of you, I want, I gonna have that. But I don't want her to be on the field and a ball hit to her, she get hit, and now she's screaming out daddy, daddy, daddy on the floor. Because girl or boy, you need to get the fuck up. You playing ball. If you sign up to play ball, you playing ball. Just like if you sign up for life, you don't get no choice. You sign up. You playing life. You gotta keep moving.
Well, they didn't sign up for life.
I'm about to say we
I'll
ain't
sign
sign up.
them up.
We ain't sign
I'll
up for
Yeah.
sign
life
them
at
up,
that.
but
Your hair,
but
right? Your hair.
but
Yeah,
that's a very crazy thing to say to your
Should
kids. Them man ain't fill out the application to come out of your wood into yeah, no.
have turn
But
around or hit the ground or something. You start find a way out. You
them
start
man would
slow down.
them man would have
Slow down.
fighting to make it. You know.
Yeah. You win.
hey,
This is your prize. This is your prize.
hey, but I glad that you asked the question in that twofold manner because I had a two-part answer that fits quite neatly into that there, right? So
Okay.
to your first question asking like why should we have to essentially change course to do something like different with this, right? And the the thing is it's very important for us to start seeking or becoming more aware of and acknowledge the actual consequences of a lot of this stuff, right? Like, I don't have the exact statistics, but an example for a lot of men, right? is that we have much higher rates of suicide, right? And much of those rates are absolutely due to just the mental health challenges associated with things that started as small as not being able to express yourself in a positive or holistic manner. That this is not like just some kind of commonplace or arbitrary thing. It is a real phenomena, right? In my entire life, I have had the misfortune or fortune, depending on how you look at it, of preventing 6 suicide attempts slash ideation as well.
Mm.
And 5 of them were guys.
Mm.
5 of them were guys, dog. And all of them had that same theme, that same principle attached to it, where they started out like not really being able to talk about whatever challenges they were facing and feeling like there's literally no way out. Like this is something that is pretty prevalent in that space, but unfortunately we occupy that space so much more. The other particular thing is we are undoubtedly, no question about it, the more violent gender or sex or what have you, that by a wide margin. That is absolutely due to the consequences of emotional suppression, because we only have 2 modes that we're going to. We does go under the guise of like, yeah, we more logical and stuff because we more adept at suppressing or avoiding conflict. But because we don't embody the space of navigating that conflict by acknowledging what's present, is that once we reach that threshold, violent, 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 right? Like that is literally like 2 modes: stop or go, right? Brake or put your foot on the throttle, like just full. You know what I mean? These is real things that has happened every day, and it does happen in very large part to the fact that we are not very well trained on how to just engage with our emotions, that because we just try and suppress it. You ever been to the beach and you try to like hold like a basketball or a beach ball or something in the water, that
Yeah. Very
so you know how hard that shit is.
yes,
This
yes.
is what I like we to be trying to do on a daily basis. And I don't think I need to tell you what happens if you decide to just loose the ball, my boy.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten a quite a few I've experienced quite a few consequences of that, right?
Same here, same here.
It's the same thing for emotional suppression, that it
Mm.
these lead to these kind of consequences. And I have great compassion for Alakawi, right? Because people will do the best with what they know
Yeah.
at that particular time. You check? And so it's very important to recognize the tools that you have and what you're doing with those tools. What is also important is recognizing that because these are all that we might tend to have, that we have a natural bias towards those tools, that because this is what we know, we automatically put that in the bucket of this is the best or this is what works for me. And that is inherently subjective and self-preservative, right? It only pertains to what might bring you personal comfort. The substitute, and this is the second part to the question of what we can do, because for each of these things I bring up, which is really just 2, I have a proposed substitute or a thing that I would encourage guys to really like study. The thing that I would encourage all guys to look into and study instead of emotional suppression is stoicism.
Mm. Okay, I agree with that.
You check? A lot of people, I think, equate stoicism with emotional suppression, and that's not the case, right?
No.
It's very easily conflatable, but stoicism is a philosophical approach that deals in directly trying to control your emotions to the point of like not letting stuff bother you.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that people don't really explore or like promote within stoicism, whether it's because you're using it incorrectly and like you ain't really know like the term and stuff. Like it's stuff that I even don't like fully know. But the part that transfers through stoicism is acknowledging those emotions and accepting that they're there, processing it. But it deals with, I guess, like the more so how and where. Yeah, check. And like that's an important thing. Like there is space for guys to embrace emotional intellect to its full capacity while still maintaining a masculine style. Like you ain't losing yourself from this. Yeah. You check. I think the thing that'll be most concerning for people, and I even heard a little bit of it when you were talking about your example with Sabs, is that we might fear going from one extreme to the next, where we going from, hey, me really try and cuddle you and like pick you up or nothing, to, all right, I can lift you up and nurture you 24/7. Like, nah, right? I think like when we'd be on go for, or like when we just used to something for so long, it does make the fear of the other thing amplified to the point where we feel like any direction that's not where we were going is like extreme. So I say that to say that in that same example, you taking even 30 seconds to deliberately nurture Sabs or Yanda Dan in a way that you might traditionally view as feminine
Mm.
does not equate to, I gonna do this for the duration of the time I train in them. You check.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an additional 30 seconds, which is 30 seconds more than zero, which is the norm. Because
Yeah.
that 0 seconds is what does contribute and eventually build up to the future emotional suppression. You check. So I think when we begin to really like quantify what exactly it is we like talking about with like the specific examples, we just start to see the vibe that like, oh, this thing ain't, I could do this, yeah. Like this ain't that serious. I ain't violating my underlying principles or anything. I'm building upon something while still doing that, right? Because the best way that you could change somebody, my boy, or change anything, whether it's teaching, mentoring, or whatever, is meeting them where they're at. And although I'm not a parent, I am 100% confident that that still applies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, fellas, like I know, like they probably have people that are watching that is familiar with stoicism, but I encourage you, like for everybody who especially like maybe like really hard, and so I encourage really looking up stoicism and what it entails. That's the first step I would recommend for our fellas.
I agree. I agree. I mean, of course, there's a part of the story that I didn't get to, but nevertheless, exactly what you said is what I did. Took
Oh,
30
sweet.
seconds to explain to her, like, hey, when we out there, we playing. I want you to be the best possible. I want you to understand the difference between the both, situations. Still my daughter. I give her a hug. You know what I mean? And then we went back to walking again. And after that, it was yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. After that, when we get inside, it was daddy, daddy. But that's just to preface for other people who might see. But
No,
Kev, I
it's
think
good that it's good that you add that part in, right? Because like stuff like that, especially when they forego missing parts, is what does contribute to the erosion of a lot of this stuff, right? Because we might be saying like a main thing, but don't really be as like aware or like relayed verbatim what all that we did that actually does not align with what we said perfectly.
yeah.
You check, and it's not like no intentional thing that like folks would like be doing, but
Mhm.
it's like I kind of liken it to making a copy of a copy. You ever see that there from a printer where like you made a copy of something, you take the copy, scan it, make the copy, and like you keep on like rinsing and
Yeah,
repeating with the new copy.
it
You
gets
see how
lighter.
yeah, it'll deteriorate over time, dog. It don't look anything like the original. And I
Yeah.
think that when we communicate stuff and when we just funnel stuff in general, that happens a lot. So I'm glad
Mhm.
that you mentioned that.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so we tackle very early on emotional suppression, which can be battled by or remedied with stoicism, which is a sense of accepting what is and being self aware of your surroundings, your emotions, and other surroundings and emotions. That's exactly what stoicism really encapsulates. So, good, understand it, makes sense, and is very helpful for men. Um, what's the next manly expression that hurts men?
Yeah, so this next one, I don't have like an exact name for it, but it has to do with like that provisionary drive. That
To
kind
provide,
of,
a
yeah,
provider
like just,
mentality.
yeah, like that, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And it, like, yeah, so just so that we clear on the terms, like it's kind of like that desire to bring in a lot of like those extrinsic resources
Hmm.
to your family. And
Yeah, the
so,
exterior tangibles. I mean, so that you providing it, like being a breadwinner. So
yeah,
wait, what's wrong with that?
there is nothing wrong with that, right?
Okay.
I like I well, there's nothing wrong with it, like, in general. Where it gets harmful is where it is being pursued at the expense of your health holistically,
Yeah.
whether physical, mental, or even financial, my boy.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Like there are situations where that shit could literally work against you. You
Yeah.
check, but like it's really something that I was like that I just see that I definitely it kind of it like touch me, like seeing like guys or just folks kind of buying into like the idea of like working hard for while using like money as its own end, as opposed to a means to an end, right? Like, shout out to everybody that I know that does walk 12s, for example, right?
Mm.
Either shout out to everybody that I know that walk 12s, or shout out to everybody that get like a side hustle or anything like that, because it really amounts to the same thing, that you trade in your time excessively for money. And like, shout out to them, because like I get it, right? Where not only you want to like provide and all of that stuff, but you also want to amass money.
Mhm.
The reason why I focus on like the 12s first is because anytime I does like see a post on Facebook or something pop up, for example, I might see like those same folks talk about like, yeah, definitely doing this, but money got met and all of
Mm.
this stuff. And like I've seen some people, men and women, talk about like, dude, like what about like, your family? And so like when the man going to see you, and the man like, yeah, that's a that's a hard thing, but they gonna never say that they ain't got or whatever. But they can say that. They don't have you. You
Mhm.
check. You are not, like, the amount of money that a guy brings in is not the sum of his worth. All right, guys? The amount of money that you bring in does not make up the sum of your worth. All right. And so you are just as much of a parent, for example, as the mom. You
Mhm.
are an equal participant in your relationship with your significant other. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, you trying to get in money,
Mhm.
but you are also doing it at the expense of not only your time, but also your health.
Mhm.
Because, like, I especially think about like people in blue collar jobs. Whether
Oh
you working at
man.
a factory,
Mhm.
we're at a work now, at a work with garbage man and like recycle people. and they'll be in it. They'll be in it, working overtime and stuff. Like that stuff is a lot of young people expectedly, but like that stuff ain't sustainable, man. Ain't
Yeah.
sustainable physically, ain't sustainable mentally. And when you couple that in with like the emotional suppression, it's not surprising to see some of the effects that it does have on like these guys, just from a standpoint of like enjoying other things that life has to offer. I ain't even talking about just things like traveling or whatnot, but like literally just being there present with your family and just spending quality time with them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So like that's a situation where like it could pose a lot of harm. It could even end relationships. Like, someone saying like, oh, you never around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all of that there is definitely a serious way that could harm a lot of guys. You know
Yeah,
the
I actually agree.
yeah, yeah. The chat saying anything
Yeah,
or what?
man. I mean, chat been talking, but you've
Oh
been preaching, dog. So I've been leaving you do your thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man.
Because
Let me see what the chat saying.
all right, chat been making some moves. Dante, big up to Jeffrey Watson for joining us. Big up to you, Rick, for being here with us.
Ulrich.
Kyle Ulrich, my bad, Ulrich. Um, it's been a good minute, but I'll start with the one that Agencia said. She says, why does strength only mean physical? Strength can be mental and emotional. You can acknowledge your hurt and move on. Pretending they aren't or shouldn't hurt is the issue. I guess she's
Hmm.
referring
That
to
might have been when you
comment
had
I
said,
made. Hmm. With
yeah.
when I probably when I say if she get hit with a ball, she's trying to feel. I
I
don't
was
just
thinking more of like it was something you had asked me and you had insert strength into it. I don't remember exactly where it was, but yeah, that's a solid observation by the
yeah,
woman who did my braids.
no doubt.
Good. Check.
Um,
But yeah,
Dante say flight or fight instincts based on when you feel on the defense and need to fight based on when your ego is stroked or bruised because their territory is being challenged. In man terms, turf wars and you trying to test my gangster, so I gotta show you who you messing with. I think that's more on the baseline of when you were talking about the emotional intelligence and being more stoic when you were talking about violence. Like how the first thing is just violence. Like there's no way to
yeah,
navigate emotions, in which I think that's what majority of the men need. Because I didn't realize how strong the tool was until I actually started to learn how to navigate like violence or navigate um, the approach of it or navigate conflict. Period. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
yeah, yeah. We really could benefit off of like just flexing our navigations. That like when I really say like a lot of guys only have two modes. I think what Dante bring up encapsulated perfectly. Like where like you either fight or you fly or
hmm
freeze, if you will. All right.
really,
Like the most extreme thing I could think of like is you could imagine you driving a car and every time you try to turn left, it goes extremely left. Or when you try to turn right, it goes extremely right. Like you have
yeah,
no literal control over what it is that you're doing.
yeah,
If I liken that to emotional intelligence and like the art of just understanding, accepting, and navigating your emotions, I would
hmm
liken it to power steering or like the steering fluid or whatever. It gives you the opportunity to better control where you're steering that. And a
hmm
lot of guys, we just don't have that in we that. We either go left extremely, we either go right extremely, and
hmm
that's why much of the time we'd just be there stiff, trying to hold the road steady because we know that we can control it.
So I want to jump back to something. So you were able
Yeah,
to give us a remedy of stoicism for emotional suppression in men. What's a remedy for um I would call it financially
The
overwhelming?
provisionary.
Yeah, this is almost like financially overwhelming or anything of that.
Yeah, I that one there is a little more complex, right?
Mm,
Because there are some indications of like factors outside of your control, right? So, for example, economic factors, right? Where it simply isn't feasible for you to, or like the average guy, let alone person, to just be a singular breadwinner in 2025. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
Like that's just not a realistic thing to achieve for 100 out of 100 men, no matter what pathway they like choosing.
mm-hmm,
And so the remedy for that is being able to embrace a much more collectivistic approach to finances and life management in general, while retaining or internalizing positive messages that allow you to realize that, hey, I'm still a man, dog.
mm.
Whether I could provide at this level or this level or even not at all, it doesn't define my manhood. My level of provision does not define my manhood. You
What
check. So
happens? What happens when your peers don't see you that way because they don't see things that way?
then you may have to start out with finding some new peers, my friend. Right? Like to be real honest on like the avenues that you might have to look at. You may have to find some new peers, find some new spaces that either um go in the direction of the viewpoint that you are messing with, or at least allows a safe space for you to just exist in that type process. You know what I
Mm,
mean? 'Cause I know what you're talking about, Miss Sun. They get
mm,
like so much of us, like, yeah, man, no, man, we gotta match work. We gotta get some bread, dog. Don't be talking
mhm,
that weak stuff. Gas
mhm,
side hustle, do this, yeah, do that there. And
mhm,
like, they ain't really allowing you to like voice the nuance of the situation, or even allowing themselves to hear that there, or even checking in with themselves about how they feel about that. I don't know a single person that outright enjoys, right, and feels no kind of like fatigue or anything from working all the extra time.
mm,
It's more of like a obligatory kind of thing, like the same provision thing. Like it's like, yeah, I doing this thing, yeah, I doing this thing, and I feel that like, yeah, I really messing with you. But there absolutely is that thing of like, yeah, I feel like I have to do this thing. Like you got to upkeep like a standard that like nobody like set for you deliberately. It's just a constant thing that we're all just kind of expected to follow. But like we didn't really investigate like the origins of it to know deep way, or investigate how well it interacts with our current economic climate.
mm,
Instead, it goes back to what we're saying: people do the best with what they know. And so, if all you know is the mentality to earn money, and you ain't even aware or like care to like really investigate the depth of the economic climate, your reaction ain't gonna be to zoom out and be like, "Oh, let me investigate this." Making money this way, so you
mm,
gonna try to make more money in that same exact way. And if that meant trading your time for money, then your go-to is probably going to be trading more time for that money. You know what I mean? So I think like a combination of like embracing a more collectivistic thing, where it's like, yeah, both of you guys, you and your significant other, are working. You embrace more of that, as well as delve more deeply into like the other aspects of relationships or parenthood and stuff that you might not have done. But I understand that's a slower race. So
mhm,
they embrace the collectivistic thing of just accepting like, hey, you know It's gonna be a lot more collaboration involved in the financial generation process, while coalescing around or gathering around or internalizing affirmations that a this does not subtract from my manhood in any way whatsoever.
So that was a good question in the chat and a good comment in the chat. Nigeria say your pairs ain't paying your bills, which is a very clear
Yeah.
understanding to fuck them guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Shalia asks, but men who don't provide want the women to provide, but he still gets to be the head of the household and leader. How does that work?
That'll work by some unfortunate woman getting suckered in and needing to needing to figure out that you might probably gotta set some boundaries on that. Kind of like what we were talking about this with the choosing better. In fact, that was a part of what you were talking about, right? With like being able to identify like the boundaries and like jump ship with that then, or unless they like get with a program of some sort, move some kind of motion or jump ship. Like that's the answer to that is that doesn't work, because now not only are you trying to reverse the roles, but you trying to make it even worse. So
Mm.
that simply does not work.
So Deshaun Webb asked on Shalia's question, why does who leads come down to who providing all the time? Genuine question.
Valid question for real, because that I have always found that to be like a faulty kind of premise, because finances, and that's a next way that this provisionary thing could actually be harmful to a lot of guys, is because a lot of guys believe that, right, where like we may unintentionally or intentionally group the generation of finances with leadership, where the only things that are valuable or that we have to like that are showable is something that's tangible, and that ain't the case, my son. So that's a part of like the collectivistic thing. Like I talking about like a much larger kind of transition, bigger than finances, really, of like abandoning some like certain stereotypes that bleed into another thing that'll be harmful to us, misogyny, right? Where like we undervaluing our feminine counterparts and not actually looking at the value in things past what's tangible, right?
Mm.
Nurturing your offspring, nurturing you is highly beneficial, something that anybody will, you might not be able to see it, but once that shit gone, you can feel it though. You check, you can feel it, dog. You check, nurturing both everybody in the household is highly valuable, right? Obviously, maintenance, cooking, cleaning, that day is highly valuable. In fact, I see somebody put out there into a tangible thing. Somebody was talking about if you wanted a private chef, right? That day is like 75K. So much of our significant others doing that there for free. You check what I'm saying? Like 75K ain't no joke. You know what I mean? And these men, they're doing it every day. And that's just private chef. We ain't talking about maid and them things. That's a whole nother fee in and of itself. You check what I'm saying? So like all of these things is like tangible stuff. And so it really does us all much better if we shift to a much more collaborative standpoint, where we reevaluate things that we view as like masculine and feminine, be willing to look at why that might have been the case, and take the reins for ourselves on what we going to like change differently after we see how harmful a lot of this stuff is. All you need to do is just follow the rabbit hole to see how consequential these things are if you continue doing whatever, or even if something stops happening. Like if this person disappeared today, what going to change? You check what I'm saying? Like boof,
Hey,
Thanos,
listen to
that
me.
man just disappeared. What going
Listen to
change?
me and listen to me, good Catherine. I'm so glad I'm me and you to do what we supposed to do because some of the things that all woman them to be saying inside of the chat, if we wasn't doing what we supposed to do and know what we doing, that we would be like, hey yo, why is she coming at me? But because I know you're doing what you're supposed to do and I do what I'm supposed to do, I just watching these women like just go off meticulously, professionally, go off in the chat there. But listen, so so Nigencia said, I think a deeper question is why does anyone have to lead? Where's the partnership? Now that's a clear rhetorical question. You know, say
No,
relationship.
I think it's also well, yeah, I guess it is rhetorical because that's exactly how I'd have seen me and Nigencia. I personally don't see like this thing as like, yeah, I lead in her or whatever. I mean, first of all, you see how should I get on? I can't lead. I can't lead. But anyway, right? It's definitely like it's a team thing. Like she is
Yeah,
my teammate
yeah.
in this thing with a car life. You check like yeah, certain aspects of things. Like sure, I might lead in some kind of capacity with this thing, right?
Hmm.
She ain't really good with direction, so I lead in direction
Hmm.
physically, right? Like this is north, this is south, that type of thing.
Yeah.
She'll lead in other ways, right? Whether it's like planning some kind of event, or even like keeping me in check with like my personal overthinking and all of this stuff. Like it's a team effort, and
I agree.
I honestly, with all bias, think that that is the best approach in the world.
Yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
defend that to death.
I
Now
would have.
we know how
Well,
you
not.
is
Whoa,
with it.
whoa.
You more the traditional side.
Actually, actually, no, because when it comes to certain things, when it comes to the kids, I don't get in front of that. When it comes to the kids, the internal functions of the house, um, and even I would even say, um, like Shalia, I like Shalia to do the taxes. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to certain areas, it just have certain areas that for me that's you. You're in charge. You take the lead on that one. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think that there are a lot of women in relationships, older, younger, don't matter, and they're in relationships and they have no idea as to what's what in their own relationship, where's where, how to get this, how to do this, how to do that. And when you allow somebody to take so much control, you could really lose control. Henceforth, and said, I don't have a woman that would sit back and just, you know, let life. You know what I mean? I have a woman that's very forward moving, very progressive, and knows how to articulate herself and stand up for the things that she believes in. So I have somebody who's like my perfect counsel and my perfect checker. So she checked me in different ways, checked me on different things. If I gain too far off the edge, as you guys know, sometimes I could be very black and white. So if sometimes I too black or I too white, she brought me back to the middle, like, yo, there's some things that you need to consider, in which I have to and which I do. So no, I kind of operate the same way in certain areas uh when it comes to like what you call it, enforcement. No, it's not enforcement. Discipline. When it comes to discipline with the kids, I had to step in heavy for that. When it comes to like visionary and those type of things, I may take lead a little bit in those areas and stuff like that. But I do think it's a very well balanced situation over here at least. And I would tell people like, bro, like if you have a woman, your woman need to be capable in areas that you're not capable in. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not a mat whiz. Shalia is very good with numbers. Do the taxes. Some men might be like, why you get your woman doing your taxes? Why the fuck not? Men used to come home and give all their money to their women. The women used to pay the bills anyways. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it, you know what I mean, wholeheartedly, although it was traditional, there was many interesting, intricate nuances in which women also still had control of themselves, and their future, but there were more blatant ways that that they just didn't have control, and that was only when, as you say, when things go south and you don't work on those relationships or you don't work on those things, and of course you're gonna see them more prevalent in your face, crashing down, than you would not. So yeah, but I agree with you. I said it to say that. Dante, he said, which men are those? I don't know if this is a devil's advocate question, but if the woman ain't making you feel less of a man for even bringing it up, the community of most men would not even entertain the thought because the thought of provision has been ingrained in most men. You have anything to say for that?
Yeah, read that there again. Like,
Sure thing. He was asking which men are those, meaning I guess the men that don't make the money but still want to be the men of the house. You see what I'm
oh,
saying?
he was responding to something
Yeah.
that Shalia had said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. 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 Yes.
yeah. Hey, Dante ain't even gonna hold you, man. They got some folks out here. They get some folks
No.
out here. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people, a lot of guys. Like that's a standard thing that we just say for real because it's hard to kind of envision any of our circle doing that, but they're out there.
And
All right.
that's when I don't cut no slack on woman because that's your fault. If you still with somebody like that, that's your fault. Nope. I don't care. Nope. I ain't taking it back. All right. Drink break because I
Had
guess
to
that was a little
had to
too
slide
much.
that one. Had to slide that one in there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because all night we beating men with the switch and men taking it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Um. But yeah, nah, Kevin right. There are a lot of men out there doing shit like that to women, and it's kind of like I think Shalia mentioned it somewhere. Um. Because if you're not providing and then you're not picking up any roles or any task like steadily or consistently in the home, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are you
Yeah.
contributing to? Like, what purpose are you playing? And I think that's the main thing. Like I say, most men they get lost because they don't have a purpose. So if you
Yeah.
don't have a driven purpose, then what you expect?
The shit that feed directly back into like that extreme thing we were just talking about, right? Where like you know guys filled with ambition, jam packed with it, right?
Mhm.
And then you get folks that whether they must feel like the shit fail or they might not have had any kind of desire where their ambition less
Mhm.
and they looking straight up like bums.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a crazy extreme. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And it touches back on like that emotional suppression. Like that might be really the foundation of which our men could just improve drastically, to be honest with you, dad. Like everything, whatever it is that we might talk about, it'll really just go back to that there with like that emotional suppression because emotional suppression does not equate to emotional management. And emotional management absolutely includes understanding and navigating your motivation by which that discipline can be applied. And that could be another episode in of itself because we talk a lot about discipline over motivation when it should be a collaborative thing. But I digress, right? So yeah, it really is like a thing that we need to start balancing out more because like I can't say it enough. There is more to life, more to your life, gentlemen. I'm talking to you, nigga. There is more to life than just making money.
Yeah.
There is more to your life than just stacking that bread. There's
There
a lot
was
more.
a perfect comment inside of the chat by Kyle Encarnacion. He said the wrong partner will kill ambition.
That is absolutely true. The wrong partner, I suppose, can kill ambition, right?
Will kill ambition.
Yeah. But the reason why I said can is because, again, while it's important to acknowledge the part that somebody else can play, it is equally, if not more, important to acknowledge the control that you are supposed to have for yourself, right?
Hmm.
Because if we run an experiment on like two different guys and they have the same exact type of partner, and one guy as a result get it ambition killed, and the other person ain't get it ambition, and or they still have it intact and probably move on from the person, then we can tell that the common denominator, even though it was that person that was X, Y, and Z, it shows the agency that the other people have in that equation.
Mm.
So yeah, it can and it will, right? But what defines that will at the end of the day? You as that equal participant in that vibe, that you have options. You
Yeah.
have options to dialogue with
Yeah.
the person, to
Mm.
clarify any kind of misunderstandings or misalignments, because that's really what a lot of this stuff does kind of come down to, right? Like not everybody is diametrically opposed to your thing that come into your life and like, yeah, I go and be with you explicitly to sabotage you. A lot of that there is definitely misunderstandings that are interpreted as such because they don't align with our central values. But again, we have the agency to navigate that. But the fluid that we need to stimulate that navigation
Power
is
steering.
the emotional intelligence.
Yeah, no. Louis Esteban or Louis say a couple should encourage each other to grow individually and together, in which I agree
That's
wholeheartedly.
facts.
I fully
That is
agree.
facts.
Fully agree. I
That
think
is facts.
I think one of the things that uh definitely not to upstage what you said, because what you said about um the just over providing and
No upstage, only collaboration.
got you, appreciate that. So pretty much is like, I don't think, well, okay, well, let me say this way. One of the things that has stopped me from like overworking, like if I had my computer for a very long time and I could feel like my son tug my chair, my daughter come over, she lean over, like she actively try and get my attention, and I too over focus. One of the things that I always kind of jog me back is, do I want her or him to value somebody else's opinion of who they are going to be, or who they are going to be, or who they want to be, or do I want them to value my opinion? And although that might be a little selfish, it motivates me to move from where I am, go and engage them directly as to whatever they want to do or whatever they're trying to, say or what have you. So my influence can be inside of my kids and not exterior or worldly influences where I'm allowing my kid to be taught directly from a tablet, or I'm allowing my kid to be taught directly from a student or a teacher or somebody else, her friends or what have you. You know what I'm saying? So for me, as a man, you could provide all you want. But if you provide for somebody who don't know you, don't understand you, and don't value the way how you think or feel about them, you have lost significantly fast. Because in your mind, all you're gonna ever say is this person ungrateful. But you don't know who that person is. So how do you know what they value from what they don't value? Because now they have a different value system from you. Because you wasn't there to show them what to value and how to value. So you
And you
miss
ain't
your
had
opportunity.
the adaptability to recognize and literally adapt the situation to change it.
hmm So a
You know what
lot
I
of the
mean?
times that I always just tell myself, like, yo, if I don't want somebody else to teach my child, I need to be there to teach my child. And that's what will move me away from being like, I might not have a bunch of money in my pocket. I might not be rich and $1 million wealthy and all kind of stuff, but I could go in the backyard and I could play catch with my daughter. I could go in the backyard and I could dig holes with my son. We could go put on some strawberry trees and we could go plant some stuff, you know? We could play, we could run around, we could play in the water, we could turn on the hose, you know, stuff like that. Those things are much more valuable. I could sit down, I could watch TV with my wife, I could watch a nice movie, get some good laughters, reminisce with my wife, talk about good times, old times, talk about the future with her. Those things mean something. So
Yeah.
those is the
And
way,
I don't think,
yeah.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
don't think that they're selfish. To be honest with you, like I can see where it might appear or
hmm
start out as such, but like there's absolutely a sense of altruism to it because you are essentially giving up what you were doing at the time, what you might have preferred to do at that time before that new variable was introduced to cater to this to the nurturing and development of your youth then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, like that's actually a great like example of leaning more into like that collaborative thing, because I have seen, whether on TV or heard or again seen in real time, fathers that wouldn't do that while them man there, and it's like you see me doing something right now, that kind of thing, and like every time that you do that is essentially a vote for estrangement
Yeah.
in the future. You check what I'm saying? So like all them little small things that you're doing does literally add up. And so it stands to reason that if you do small things toward that collaboration, you are again casting a vote for that holistic nuclear family that you really always wanted.
Yeah. Deshaun said, best need better parenting, more fathers in the home, etc. Not
Yep,
just saying you're a father. Like fathers in the
yep,
home is very valuable, man. So
yep, yep. And it don't matter whether like you together or not, you can still absolutely like make that way. And emotional intelligence will get you there.
yeah, but that's a whole next trailer in order to know how
Yeah,
to do that. And we won't diverge down that road. But yeah, man.
not yet.
I mean, there's yeah, not yet. We got a lot more coming. I've been liking these stuff. I definitely think I think the producers said they're gonna renew us for a season two. We just gotta sign the contracts and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we just gotta
Yeah,
see. We just gotta see what the dollar's looking like. You know what I mean? Might be a lot more zeros than we even know. But hey,
yeah.
yeah, I'm saying we gotta renew the contract with the producers and what's not. But we might be looking at a season two. So I keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing to the page. I think this is extremely healthy, and the conversation tonight definitely for me was very delightful, very delightful.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So the tonight's homework for the guys them study stoicism. That's the main thing. Like at least read a portion of like a Wikipedia article or something. A lot of people, we've always been taught to like not study Wikipedia and like hate it and all that stuff. But like between all of like the regulations that have been input on like the fact that nobody like anybody can't edit it no more, and like the fact that it insert like sources so you can explore yourself. Wikipedia is a great source of getting to know something, not citing it.
Mm.
Still don't do that in your friggin' homework. But it's a great place to start and like branch out, like see what sources that man got going on, or just like a general like piece of information.
Right.
Wikipedia does. Study study stoicism, and if you in a relationship, and like if you're one of those guys that I was talking about that's like in maximum provision mode, that's like trading in your time for money at the expense of your health and fulfillment in other ways, start thinking about other things that you can do to kind of lighten that load. Laughing. Somebody said something funny.
Dude, a
The
lot of
chat,
things
the
going on.
chat is going off. It's like, yo, what the fuck? The chat is going off.
Hmm.
Dante say, I get homework for you, Kefren. How about you? Check your messages and respond to a nigga.
What?
Wow. Wow.
Why my
Nice.
God put me on blast
All I
like
gotta say is
And
wow,
then Dante
with a lot of W's.
said, nah, fuck
Wow.
that. Read Emotional Intelligence and Social Intelligence by that. Hey, I love,
that's some good books though. That's
you
Danielle
know,
Coleman. I what?
yeah, I don't read, but yeah, those are some good books. But listen, I think I'm loving the dialogue that we're now creating where there is still like a heavy ignorance in the delivery, but the rhetoric of the information is how you could sophisticatedly tell somebody, nah, fuck that, read some emotional intelligence and I love it, dog. I love it, dog. That's what I mean. This is creating space for men to grow, but still be who they want to be. Deshaun saying, nah, chat GPT that fuck and figure it out. And I was
Hey,
like,
Chat,
okay,
Chat GPT is valid as Chat GPT is valid as hell. I don't the I do enjoy trying to preserve the environment, but I'd absolutely use Chat GPT for things that people don't necessarily think of. I think like wherever your natural specialty is, that's where you're gonna want to kind of like look at Chat GPT to do. But
yeah.
my boy, like you could really ask the AI anything
Mm-hmm.
and
It will give you a
or instruct it to anything,
yep.
and you gonna get answer that. Even if the AI is hallucinating, it helps you to jumpstart some kind of idea, right? Like for like jumping back to like romance for a quick
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
right? Because I did not do this, but this is for any guy who might be short on ideas or confidence in executing ideas. Ask ChatGPT to plan some kind of thing for your girl or significant other or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yup, yup.
like lay out the terms. Like, hey, for context, my wife likes this.
Yeah.
But,
Generate
but you feed it.
5 ideas.
But you feed
Yeah.
it,
Generate
they gonna
five
produce something.
ideas
Hmm.
that I could think, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the idea. And before my wife kick up, if she ain't already do it, I did not
Then, dog.
ask Chat GPT for any assistance in any kind of thing that we have done, that I have done.
But
Disclaimer.
why you have to make
Yes,
that display? I was just about to say, why you gotta make that display, dog? Chat
because
GPT.
she does cut up. She does cut
Yeah, she
up.
been
I
cutting up
mean,
in the
I
dog,
already
past.
know.
dog.
We
I
could
already
Let,
clearly
know how
see.
she
but
get
know
on.
what I've learned about your wife? When does she not cut up my butt? She's our biggest hater and our biggest fan at the same time. I love it. I personally, I love it. You know, I love shit
Hey,
like that. I love it.
true
I love
thing.
it. But I just saying, ChatGPT is by all means a lifesaver in certain areas, and I use it to navigate certain things that I don't fully understand, and it's been a hell of a tool for your boy as well. So I don't know. I have no shame in that because at least I put in thought to talking with this AI. So that's thought.
True, and you
Is a
still got
thought
to
that
execute it.
still got executed because you don't execute it the right way, and then you're fucked. But I did want to say that when Dante asked about you messaging him back, and I've been trying my best to dodge most of Nigencia's minds that she's been planting inside of the chat. Well, I can't dodge this one because Dante asking you to message him, and she said he failed in that class. Don't hold your breath, buddy.
Bro.
So yeah, and with that, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And you know what time it is. When you get married, your life is done. You have no more friends. Your wife runs your time. Just joking, man. But yeah, man, this was a great conversation. Also, Dante was hinting on hearing the female's point of view one of these days on like on the actual, I guess, on the actual panel, or having, you know, some of the females come in to be guests on the panel. And that's something we could definitely probably try to see if we could get inside of the show in season two. We just gotta talk with the
Yeah, definitely.
producers, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll be good. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good good little vibe. Big up Brandon Golden. You're late. Your mother's come late, but big up anyways, big
This
dog.
Brad, yes, I go, man. He's probably one of the people I'm out talking about. Ain't nobody I think that be talking more about grinding or anything like that there on the book than this man. You check. I know he know what we talking about with trading like your time for money at the expense of different things. So hey, Brennan, shout out to you, dog. If you don't go back and rewatch and stuff, the challenge that I issued to the guys, them, especially those who be in that provider mentality, is to think about ways that you could um, be more collectivistic in your provision, right? Where you or even ways that you don't have to trade so much time for your money.
Mm.
Bro, just go back and watch the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Me, I think
Yeah.
Brandon is a I think he's a very level headed guy. So Although
For sure.
similar to you, like like when you used to make certain posts online, and it's like people could take what you're saying way out of context. Just give them the opportunity to. So if you don't follow up with much, then people gonna take it for whatever they want it and turn it into something extreme. And I think that'll happen with Brandon as well. A lot of the things he'll be saying will be out just common goodness for men, like kind of motivating those men that the women were talking about, men that don't do anything and men that don't contribute enough or as much as they should. And it's kind of like, get your mother scum them and make some money. I agree, but men that are already like pushing 10 hours a day, like, nah, take a chill pill and spend some time and bring other valuements to your life.
Yeah,
Find other
my
ways
son.
to bring value to your life other than just money. It's a tangible object. It'll be here when you're gone, and it'll be here when you're here. The things that will be here that matters the most when you're gone is your kids and the people who actually knew you. Find ways to value those relationships. Find ways to pour into those stuff. Those stuff will speak wonders of your legacy. Money will not.
Indeed. Yeah.
I get you, my boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
So I think that for sure about wraps it up. So once again, guys, we thank you for coming out to another episode of Mind Hack Moments.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in with us March 1st for the final episode of the
Oh,
season.
wow. That's dope. I launching my book on March 1st.
Ah,
You
yes.
mean
So we get a plug. All right. Johansi is launching his book. Tell us a little something if you want.
Nah, fuck that. March 1st, you're gonna hear about it. You know what?
Cool beans.
The
Yeah.
script.
So look out for both the episode and this man's launch on March 1st. All right. For whatever book he gonna launch, make sure you tune in and buy it.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye
And
for
then
the
tune
fucking
into
penny.
Mind Hack Moments one time for the one time for that final episode of the season where we talk about overcoming the fear of perfection, was it? Or overcoming perfection? Something to that sort. I don't immediately remember, but I will.
We
And
learn.
get the
So
fuck
yeah.
up and make some money or sit the fuck down and watch a movie with your girl. Pick one.
Yes, right. So I'll be easy.
Yes.
Yeah.